LeSS is a scaling framework primarily focused on Scrum. Now, it offers two different variations of it. The classic LeSS is for the organizations where you have 8 or less teams and we need to do the scaling. In that case, we will be using LeSS. And then they also have another variation of it, what they refer to as LeSS Huge. This huge is for organizations which has more than 8 teams. In this video, we will do a quick flyby, a high-level overview of LeSS, the classic LeSS, not the huge, but the classic LeSS. Now, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list of what LeSS has to offer. Again, as I said, this is going to be a quick flyby, just a quick introduction. Call it LeSS 101. For more in-depth details, you can definitely visit their website, LeSS.works. I will be using my illustrations and whiteboarding to explain different concepts here. So, one simple disclaimer. I'm using several abbreviations in this video that are not official terms used by LeSS framework. I'm using these new abbreviations to make it easy for you to understand and visualize the concepts. And we also have limited space for the whiteboard to fit in all the awesome illustrations. Abbreviations help us conserve that valuable space. Once again, this is not the official explanation of LeSS framework. This is just a quick flyby. For exact details, visit their website, LeSS.works. So, with that said, let's get started. Now, LeSS encourages two key aspects. It encourages focus on the whole product instead of a smaller, localized focus. And my part being, I am focused locally on my particular sprint or my particular piece of that product. So instead of optimizing locally, we want to optimize holistically. Optimize the whole instead of optimizing locally. So with that said, it also encourages you to take a holistic approach, a systems approach, and optimize the whole. The second part is LeSS also encourages the global and end-to-end product. So LeSS recommends one product backlog. Now this product backlog will be owned by one product owner because it is for a product, not a team. So LeSS recommends that we have one product backlog that is owned by one product owner. Now it also recommends that there should be one definition of done for all the teams. So there is a one global definition of done that will be used by all the teams working on this project. We are looking for one product increment at the end of each sprint. Now there may be many cross-functional teams involved here. As we said, for LeSS, you have an organization where you have 8 or less teams. So these teams are using Scrum. Now another recommendation comes from LeSS is that these teams should be on common cadence. All these teams are in a common sprint to deliver a common shippable product every sprint. So all these teams are going to start and end the sprint on the same day. So again, we are starting with one product backlog that is owned by your product owner. Now there are multiple teams doing Scrum. involved in creating this product increment. Now we can categorize these teams in two different categories. So there are teams that are referred to as feature teams. There are teams which are referred to as feature teams, and there are others which are referred to as component teams. Feature teams are focused on building and delivering a customer-facing feature functionality, whereas a component team would be working on, as the name says, creating components that are consumed by these feature teams. So for now, just ignore that fact whether it's a feature team or a component team. Just look at them as teams, Scrum teams, working on building this product. Each team is using Scrum. So if you look at each team's sprints, if we zoom into each team's calendar, we should see sprint planning, sprint review, sprint retrospective, backlog refinement. All these events are still happening in each of those teams' own little world. Now LeSS adds another layer between the product owner and these teams in order to scale and coordinate the effort across these teams. Now remember, you have one product owner, one product backlog working towards building that product. Now this product owner will hold master backlog refinement. LeSS refers to this as mPBR, master product backlog refinement. So this is held by the product owner, and this is an event where each of these teams will send some representation. So each team is represented in this mPBR, working on that common backlog and working on the refinement. Not all the team members are there, but each team is represented in this mPBR. Each team is sending some representation to this mPBR. The main reason why we want to do this mPBR is alignment, dependencies, and push to release. So we want to align the work that will be taken by each team. So there is that alignment focus. As part of that, we also want to identify if there are any dependencies across the team and have a discussion around it and have some strategy around it. And then third piece is the release to push. Hey, do we have some feature functionality that is built and sitting on that shelf? If yes, what can we do to release it to the market? What can we do to get that product increment in the hands of the customer? So that could be another aspect that is discussed during this mPBR. Once that is done, then they go into a sprint planning. Now again, this is the representation of all the teams being there. We did the mPBR. Now each team is identifying what pieces of those functionalities they will take. So this is referred to as SP1, Sprint Planning 1. So SP1 is to distribute the work across these different teams after that mPBR event is done. So at the end of the SP1, each team's representatives have candidate stories for their next sprint. They will take these candidate stories back to their team. The entire team will get together and they will do their traditional sprint planning. That is referred to as SP2 in LeSS. So you have mPBR, SP1, SP2. That's basically how the work will flow from that one product backlog owned by that one product owner. Now each team goes through their sprint cycle, starting with the sprint planning. Again, as we said, we will call that SP2. And on the other end of that sprint, each team would be doing their retrospective, review, all that. Now this retrospective that each team is doing locally is referred to as team retrospective. Similarly, the review would be referred to as team review. Now here, LeSS introduces two new events for all the teams. At the end of each sprint, now remember, they are on common cadence, meaning they are starting and ending on the same day. So when the sprint ends, every team is ending their sprint. So at the end of that sprint, all the teams will go to these two events. One is called Overall Retrospective, other one is called Overall Review. So this Overall Review is where they will be demonstrating, they will be showcasing the product increment. And then they will follow that with Overall Retrospective, where again, where every team is there. Now, being a pragmatic coach, I would say doing that overall retrospective at the end of every sprint is probably not practical. But we definitely should not be ignoring it. Yes, we can do those localized team retrospective, that is fine. But overall retrospective is also very valuable. So we don't want to ignore that. Remember, we are saying that one product owner and we have 8 or less teams, right? So it might be too much for one product owner to handle all these teams. So LeSS also introduces the concept of a product owner team. It introduces the concept of area product owner, meaning product owner that is focused on a specific area, specific functionality of the product. So you have one product owner to start with, and then you can have multiple APO, area product owners, and they collectively make up the product owner team. Now, this product owner team, the product owner and the area product owner combined, this team is making all the product-wide prioritization decisions. But this one product owner always has the final say. Also, the scope, schedule decisions stay with the product owner. He or she decides when to release what. The APO are there to help this product owner. So that's the high-level overview of LeSS. Now let's review the flow of work. So you have a product owner who is focused on the product, the holistic approach as we talked about. Right? We want to optimize the whole. So this product owner is using one product backlog. Now with that one product backlog and the holistic approach, this product owner is going to conduct mPBR. Now remember, this mPBR is attended by each team's representatives, right? So after that mPBR, they are going to go into the SP1, the sprint planning 1. Now, as we said, we can categorize these teams in two different categories. You have feature teams and you have component teams. All these teams are on common cadence. Right? You may have area product owners focused on certain areas of that product, working with maybe multiple teams, but focused on just one specific area. And at the end of the sprint, we have overall review and overall retrospective. The goal is to deliver a product increment at the end of each sprint. So essentially, these teams, when they meet in the overall review, would be doing a review, showcase, demo of the product increment. Now again, this is just a high-level flyby, an overview of LeSS framework. Obviously, there is a lot more to it than we can cover in this video. We just don't have enough time to cover all the aspects. But this is just a quick 101, quick introduction to LeSS. For more details, I definitely recommend their website, LeSS.works. So check it out and let us know in the comments below as to what did you find something new from that review of the website.